let's talk a little bit about economic development.
Mm-hmm.
And as you mentioned, you'd been on the redevelopment commission. But what do you see government's role in economic development as?
I think it can be a facilitator of collaborative relationships. And what I mean by that is this. I had a meeting this morning with someone from one of the major employers in my district. He actually came in from out of town. He was meeting with some folks, and so I had a quick meeting with him as well. And we talked about the lack of skilled workers that so many employers like his company face in Indiana and elsewhere. And we talked about creating collaborative relationships between employers and employees, also potentially with higher education institutions. I spoke to a group from IPFW last night, and we talked about the need to make sure that, particularly with our adult learners, that we, if they've gone to college, either certificate, 2-year, 4-year degree, but haven't finished, we encourage them to go to do that. We encourage relationships between employers and employees to develop that would allow those employees to go back and finish whatever skill certification, 2-year, 4-year degree completion that would be helpful to them. So I think government, I think that it should certainly impose self-limitations on economic development, but it can be a facilitator for encouraging these collaborative relationships. Another great example is with K through 12, which public schools, they're a function of government in Indiana, getting those students into internships and into, let's say, trade and skill employers to begin working alongside folks, working alongside employers towards the latter stages of high school, if that's the area of focus that they want to be in. I think you're going to continue to see that focus on CTE, career and technical education. That's where the government, through that, and just in general how our schools educate its students are major parts of government economic development. And one other item, something that we don't talk very often about, is major function of government is what? Roads, right? I mean, the government builds roads. These are the avenues of commerce. And when we talk about economic development, we sometimes fall into all of this talk about incentivizing through TIF and tax credits and abatements. And I think we're probably entering an age where so many governments, state and local, do all those things that we may get back to talking about more fundamental things like education, but also like infrastructure, roads, quality of those roads, whether particular sites for development exist near railroad tracks or interstates, things like that. So I think those are all important factors that the government has some hand in.
And one of the key roads in your district was just finished within the last couple of years, US 24, made into the 4-lane from what it was. And how has that changed that area? And has it started to change the area as far as making things easier?
Yeah, well, its completion was certainly before my time in the legislature, but to your point, it's exactly what we're talking about when we talk about infrastructure and the routes of commerce being vital to economic development. I can't, off the top of my head, I can't necessarily describe what was there beforehand, but I can tell you that just personally it's something that I utilize much more than I did years ago. So, and you see that in the traffic that uses those channels certainly is likely to lead to additional economic development.